Welcome to Rude Tuner's Arcade. I'm your host RT, and today I'm showing you guys how to set up your Sega Saturn on your Nova Blast Candy Cap arcade machine. Now, what's the big deal about hooking up a Sega Saturn to this machine? I feel like there are a ton of great games that play well on a 4x3 screen, because obviously when Saturn came out, we weren't really doing HD 16:9, so pretty much the whole library can be played on this machine. But more practical games are like some of your shoot 'em up games that were in Tate mode, and I'm gonna demo that for you. I'm gonna show you guys rotating the screen, and I'm gonna show you just some more practical games like some of your fighting games that were on the Sega Saturn. And I'll show you how I set mine up and how to make adjustments to give you the best possible picture on your screen with the equipment that I have. So with that, guys, let's go ahead and get into it. All right, guys, so I'm gonna show you guys something real quick moving forward. When you got your arcade and you're trying to set it in Tate mode, meaning you're going to play vertical shooters or vertical games, and you're going to rotate your screen, one thing you definitely want to do, in my other video, if you watch my video tutorial, everything's the same. But if you're playing a console, like I'm going to be playing a Sega Saturn today for you guys, instead of going, so when you take it out, I already got the screws off, instead of going this way, you want to go this way, like I'm doing right here. And how I know that is because I tried to hook up my console to it earlier, and when I set my settings in game, it ended up rotating the screen the wrong way. So make sure you turn it like this. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna show you guys real quick the things we're gonna be using. Basically, I got my Saturn here. These are all things you're gonna need for this particular video. You're gonna need a Sega Saturn, of course. I'm using a Saru on mine to try to protect my games. So I highly recommend getting one of these. They're very nice. That's a tutorial for another time. So I have a Saru and I have my Sega Saturn, so I can play my games on real hardware, or original hardware, I should say. I have a Brooks converter, and what this is, it's good for your Dreamcast and it's good for your Sega Saturn. So you're definitely going to need this. And what this does, make sure you upgrade the firmware in this thing if you haven't done that already. Also, for this tutorial, I'm going to be using, basically my upscaler I'm using is an OSSC. Now you can use a RetroTink if you'd like. I just feel like I like this one. I just didn't get a RetroTink 5 because people want way too much money for them. And I feel like this one does the job just fine for what I'm doing. So OSSC, and the cable I'm using is a SCART cable. Okay, so basically it has the end here to go on my Sega Saturn, and I have the SCART connection to go on my OSSC. So I will hook everything up for you guys. You're not going to need this cable for this particular console because your sound, the SCART cable will carry your sound and audio. So you're not going to need this. This is going to be for when I do the Dreamcast in a future video. I'm going to need this because I'm going to be doing my Dreamcast on VGA. So I'll show you this real quick, just where you're going to do your connections, what it has. You have your connections for component. If you use a component system like a PlayStation 2 or something like that, you have your SCART, which I'm going to be using today. And on the side here, you have your VGA. Okay, and that's going to be for if you have a VGA cable, or in my case, when I hook up my Dreamcast. So that's this. You have your power on the side right here. All right, that's where you're going to put your adapter. I already got it plugged in. Here's the other end of the adapter. So we'll start with the Saturn. In the back, I got the power cable already plugged in, and we're gonna put that SCART cable in the back. So you can, this plugs in the back of your not Dreamcast, Saturn, like that. And you gotta be careful when you put it in because it only goes one way. Okay. So we have our cord plugged into the Saturn. We'll set this off to the side. And now, since we're here, we'll use our Brooks converter wingman that goes in here. And when we're ready to put our encoder in, once we have our encoder cable coming from our machine up top, it's going to go right here in this little USB slot. Okay. So next we'll move on to the OSSC, and we have this cord right here. It's going to plug, SCART cable is going to plug right into the back. Be careful with that because you can break pins on it. You don't want to do that. Just kind of push it in. We got that connected. And like I said, I'll unplug this because we don't need our audio for this video. And we have this. So basically what I'm going to do is, I'll show you guys real quick. Now I have a power strip in mine That's how I got mine set up. You can reconfigure yours if you'd like, but I just got a power strip set up in mine. Okay, so I'm gonna set my Saturn inside. I'm gonna take the USB encoder, okay, that comes from the top of the machine, plug that in, like that. I'm gonna take the power cord from the Saturn, plug that in down here. Okay, that's my alternate power source for all my stuff that I put in here. And I'm gonna take the OSSC now. It's already hooked up to the Saturn. Now I'm gonna move the Saturn over here because I am gonna want to fine tune the OSSC once I hook it up, because I want to add scan lines and stuff like that and go through some of the options, and I'll show you that. All right, so, and lastly, you have your plug for your OSSC. So we'll plug that in. And when you're working on your machine, you should have it off before you're ready to fire everything up. All right, we'll plug that in. Now everything's set up, everything's plugged in, we're good to go. All we gotta do at this point is turn on our machine. So we'll go ahead and do that real quick. And one more thing I forgot to say, I'm sorry guys, was you want to plug in your HDMI. Now this HDMI here is hanging down from the monitor in the back, and it's going to go right here on the side for HDMI. And that's, it even says it right here, HDMI. You want to plug that in because that's going to carry your picture. So this end goes into the OSSC and the other end goes to the top of your monitor in the back. Okay. And now for everything else, we're going to turn our stuff on in the bottom. So we're going to turn on our OSSC. So we'll switch right here, a little toggle switch. That's on, and we're going to turn on our Dreamcast. Or not Dreamcast, I'm sorry, Saturn. All right, so that's going, that's going. So now let's look at the screen, and we have this. Now I have a remote for my OSSC, okay, but you can use the manual buttons that has on it, but everyone you get to use is going to come with a remote like this. So we want to make sure we get on the right channel. We're on HDMI on the arcade machine. We want to make sure we're on the right channel. So we'll change it down here. And now you can see the screen change. And yours will probably look different. Like I said, I'm using Saru for mine. That's a good way to preserve all your games because, you know, Saturn games can be expensive, so you don't want to damage them. Okay, and then also one of the options you have, so we'll just pick a couple, I'll just show you the setup real quick. And right now you can see, okay, the controls are working right out the gate. I didn't make any adjustment to the encoders. I didn't flash them or anything. They just came standard working with the Dreamcast. So we're gonna test the buttons, test the game. But basically don't worry about this screen. I'm just gonna select the game that I know we could use, we could try, that has 6 buttons. So we'll do Capcom Generations. I'll turn it down some. And if you're using the OSSC like me, you'll get these random flash ups where the screens change your resolutions. If you got Retro Tink money, Tink 5 or Tink 4 money, then you're not going to get any of that. And you're probably going to get a better picture. But for what this does, I feel like it does a pretty good picture. So we'll check our buttons. Our start button's working. We'll pick a game. Title select. We'll just do the OG. We'll do this one. Okay. So we're good to go. Now, when you want to make adjustments on this remote right here on your because right now the screen looks okay, but you can make a, you can make it look a little better. You can add your scan lines to it. So there's your remote. Just go over here where you can do it one or two ways. You can just go right up here where it says, and you got to make sure you aim at your SSC. So I like to run horizontal and vertical on mine. You can make sure they're on horizontal, vertical, and then you can increase the depth of the scan line. So I'll bring this up a little bit so you guys can see it. All right, so if you look at Ryu right here, you can adjust it so you can kind of get that feel. If you can kind of do how you want, so you can make them real heavy scan lines if you'd like. I think that's a little too much, a little extreme. You can go with none, or you can kind of back out. So you can actually make adjustments on your OSSC. Now I like to go at about 31, where it's not too dark, where it's, the pixels are very detailed. Obviously, if you get a more expensive upscaler, it'll look a lot better, but I think this looks pretty good the way it is. So we'll test the buttons and we'll have a little bit of sound to let you know that the sound's working as well. So we'll turn our volume up. You can hear it. Okay, so these two buttons are backwards. So instead of fiddling with this, we can always change it here. Okay, so we can go to button config. And we can just put them how we want to put them. Because remember, this is a console, so we can actually go in and just change it with ease. So that'll be punch. Okay. So we got all our buttons. And like I said, I'm not really feeling any lag in it. I know OSSC is supposed to cut a lot of lag in it. I'm getting slight lag. I don't think it's the monitor though. I'm gonna have to do further testing. I think what it is, it might be the encoder I got. But it's so small. I mean, it's really minute. The average person that's playing, you're not gonna be able to tell the difference. I mean, I just like fighting games. I'll give you a quick run through of what it looks like with the lag. So there's a slight delay, but it's so minute, guys. I mean, it's going pretty good. Because you got to remember, this isn't a CRT, but I mean, so it's definitely serviceable. And like I said, the average person, they're not going to really notice. But it does seem, and I could be wrong because I don't have equipment to test it, but it seems like it's actually running pretty good. I'm able to do like all attacks and stuff like that. I'm able to do everything, throw fireballs and all that. I might die here. Yeah. So I'll test the yeah, I'm able to pull off all moves with ease. So I think it's, very responsive. And that's pretty much it. So we'll test a few more games and we should be good to go. So that pretty much was the Sega Saturn, guys. I feel like basically the Saturn had a whole library of great arcade titles and a lot of games of their own that play very well with, because you have to figure the Sega Saturn did have 6 buttons for the most part. You had the triggers, and I feel like there's a lot of good games, especially in a 4:3 ratio, that are going to play good on your Candy Cab machine. Also, another big selling point to me was the Tate mode, where with some of the games you were able to actually, if you want to rotate your screen in Tate mode and play them like that, you can. Sega Saturn did have, I think about 25 games that actually run that way. 22 was the count I saw, but I don't have every game, of course. But I feel like there's a lot of shmups and other games that you can play, especially with the Capcom Classics library and just some of the, and a couple of the shmups we looked at today. So definitely I'd recommend running your Saturn on your Candy Cab if you're so inclined to do it. With that, guys, that's going to do it for this video. Please rate, comment, and subscribe, as it helps the channel grow, and you don't miss any more arcade tutorials or gaming reviews on this channel. With that said, guys, take care of yourself, protect your inner peace. God bless you, and we'll catch you on the next one.